Hi, and welcome to another episode of Wine and Wisdom. I'm Thomas Le Hoang, and you're listening to the TL podcast, where knowledge is shared and no one takes themselves too seriously.
So I don't know. Oh, we're even early 2 minutes this week. Far out.
Well, we can say hello.
We can say hello. Hello.
Hi. Hi. We're live. Chris is still working out his wine, trying to.
I just want to try and work out what the last grape is. I've never heard of it before.
Stephen might know us. Stephen. Carignan or however you say it. Different type of grape.
Mine was just quite simple.
It's a Spanish origin. Anyway, good. Commonly found in France, but Spanish origin. Grows well south of France, obviously Spain. Yeah, good, cool. Yeah, I know. I'm so much more educated now. Fantastic.
Very
Amazing.
good.
How are we, guys?
Hey, mate, how you doing?
Wonderful.
The energy's a little bit down. This crappy weather we're having.
What?
I think don't tell me it's all bells and whistles up there at Port Macquarie. You sunshine.
Always bells and whistles and sunshine up here.
Oh man, we've had torrential rain down here this afternoon. Seriously.
Oh, did you? Oh, God.
Yeah.
We did have a hailstorm yesterday, though. We did have a hailstorm yesterday, so it's not always bells and whistles.
And Florida's copying it.
We've got a special guest,
Oh, we
Yes.
do, Mr. Thompson.
Mr. Thompson.
Hello. I don't
Stephen
know
Thompson.
actual, but anyway, thanks.
That was very in depth, Stephen. Hello.
Yep. Hello.
I feel like a news reporter at tonight's news. Unfortunately, we're missing our mate Cam. He's it's not a happy day for him. Unfortunately, a couple of his mates had to go and attend the funerals and so forth. But we wish you the best, Cam. We're thinking of your mate. Hard time.
We wish you sad times.
Yeah, sad times so you can get over them, mate. Yeah, absolutely. Mourn your friends and remember them. Remember the good times. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, news. What's happening?
So we have our young man Stephen Thompson to stand in.
Yes.
And he's way more professional. I guarantee you there won't be a swear word. So I think the quality of the podcast's already up.
Definitely no swear words.
How are you, Stephen? You all right?
Yeah, I'm great. Thank you. I'm great. I got a list of the rules. They said I had to swear, I had to cut people off, and I just had to treat Chris like crap.
Yeah, done.
I thought all in a day's work. That'll be easy.
Sounds like my wife.
I can fill in for Cam. It's easy.
It's a funny thing when people do a show. You know, they think that in real life you don't cut people off. But I've been checking out every single time I talk to people, the number of people who just cut me off is just crazy.
Yeah, 100%.
And then yet, as soon as they start something like this, apparently there's other rules, like you have to become a robot, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, so what's in the news? Actually, first we start with the wine. This week we were doing something special. French wine, it had to be red. It had to be 2017.
So just very easy.
Yeah.
2017 is not a very good year because it rained a lot that year. So...
So we've learnt.
So let's have a look, right?
Yeah.
Let's start with our guest first. Which one have you got, Stephen?
This one, it's called a Chapelle de Pontasac, which it's 2017. It's a mix of 72% Merlot, 21% Cave Sauv, and 7% Cabernet Franc. So it was quite well regarded by all the degustation tasting notes from some good people there. So it seems to have stood up okay, and it comes from a nice part of France, which made it even better because I travelled.
What's the nice part? Mate?
I don't even remember where the nice part is now.
Very close to Spain. Very close to Spain.
Yeah, I wrote down where it was, and I can't see which sheet I've written it on, so I've lost that one.
Yeah. Can't see it and probably can't say it either. So
well, that was the trouble. I had enough with pomp and sack. I'm hoping that was my very French accent pulled that off okay. So
It's funny when you have guests, you know, you look at them, the way that they study the wine. We just go, it's red.
Yeah,
and it's 2017, mate.
in a glass bottle. So,
Yeah, but that's the trouble. Last time I was on, I think I got accused of being a very tight person because I didn't spend enough and I didn't study my wine. So the day that's because the person I was on for last time who roused on me is not here. So anyway, it was good to know though. I thought it was interesting because, you know, you rock into a shop and buy something. It's nice then to check it out after and go, yeah, actually there's 4 pages of tasting notes on this. It can't be too bad a wine. So,
wow,
Yeah.
must be a
Well,
good.
we all know he's not here, so we can just give him a lot of crap. He's a bully, and he would do anything. He would do anything to have a better bottle than anybody else. So, Steve, you don't have to believe everything he said. Okay, so Lou, what about your bottle?
Okay, so this is a Pinot Noir, 2017, of course.
Yeah.
I tried to call it Alsace, but apparently it's Alsace.
And that's, yep.
Yeah, so apparently a cold part of France, so hopefully it should be a good one. And it's in a glass bottle and it's 2017 and it's red.
It should be nice. Should be a nice one too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt quite special when you said like French red. I knew exactly where they were in Dan Murphy's. So I've walked in down Murphy's and they're renovating. So all their bottles were all over the place. So I was looking and looking and I finally found one. And I looked for about 10 minutes. Stupid me, I should have asked for someone. But anyway, 2017, Gerard Bertrand, same brand I had on last week with the rosé that we had to buy. Same company. This is a south of France. It's a Shiraz and a grape that was founded in Spain but grows a lot in France in the warmer climate. And it's red and it's 17, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Bordeaux.
And then I have a Côte du Rhône 2017. So you can see the year, Côte du Rhône. Yeah, a Grigol, which is a big house that started a year after the Second World War. And they gradually bought everything from that region, from Lyon in the center of France, and start going down south. And not this bottle, you had to spend way more, but they actually have that region called Hermitage, which all the masters some reckon that that's where the best wine comes from. So not this bottle, but some of the lots they have.
Wow.
So let's try our wine and then let's see where we at. For our listeners, this week, Vivino says that Stephen Thompson's bottle is the best.
Wow. There you go. Were you in budget or did you blow that?
I was told there was no budget.
Oh, so Cam
So he
told you
blew
that too.
Yeah, something like $200 probably, right?
No, it wasn't. It was from Dan Murphy's. I don't think they have $200 there.
Mate, you're looking in the wrong place then.
No, well, I'm in Richmond, so you have to understand.
All right, so where are we at? What have we got?
What's happening in the news? What's happening in the news this week? I mean, I have to be honest, I haven't watched a whole lot. All I've heard is Optus, and how they've let all these people down with the data breach. So what else is happening? Anything more interesting than that?
Yeah, I think something's happening right now in America with the Hurricane Ian. I think that's pretty bad. We all know when water comes in, you have no chance. But right now they have not only water but also wind. So two things going against them. It's pretty bad. So that to me it's a big news.
What are they saying? Like category what in terms of hurricane?
First it started at 4, so it's now at 2.
Okay.
But you'd be amazed, like you have properties and you can see clearly a pool, and now you don't even see the pool, nor the paved area, nothing all around. And it's pretty flat. And it's pretty flat. So that water is just going very, very far. There's 2 million people, I think, without power for the moment.
Wow, that's a lot. Jeez.
2 million. You imagine it's half of Sydney, no water or no power.
Well, the water won't last long either. Water, when it's flooded like this, it won't stay clean for much longer either.
No.
So,
goodness me.
Like they saw the catastrophe when it happened when Hurricane Katrina went through New Orleans. That was a disaster. And I think I hope they're just better prepared they are this time than they were last time, because, you know, then at least they'll be able to get support out there for the people who need it.
Yeah, Joe Biden's probably going to fly down there and look for Congresswoman Jackie. Who's disappeared? Did you see that bit?
No.
Yeah, he's making a speech in Congress and he's naming her, and he goes, "Where's Jackie?" He died in August in a car accident.
Oh my God.
Bloody hell.
Oh my goodness. That's
Right. And they,
horrible.
yeah, anyway. I suppose they've got an option, Donald Trump or dementia. Which one do you take, I suppose?
Well, Donald Trump's not far behind.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Wow.
Our mate, Mark Nichols retired this year from, sorry, not retired, but left Souths, is going next year up to Meriden, Queensland.
Yeah.
I
Redcliffe.
was lucky enough to see his last game last weekend. A friend of mine gave me tickets, and I took my son and watched him play. And just by chance, it was coming up on my Facebook feed a fair bit. And I think Souths have done him right, and, you know, given him a lot of, you know, admiration for the time he spent there. So it's been good, and good luck to him on his next
Isn't
his next team.
Yeah.
is Wayne Bennett coaching the Dolphins?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the one who's invited him up actually when he went up. He goes, "I want you to come up." And so, you know, good luck to him. I think he's going to do well up there. He's going to be under a good mentor that he admires. So I think he's going to do very, very well. Very well.
For a giant, that guy is probably the most humble dude, like the nicest guy you could ever meet.
Yeah.
You know, I cannot believe the quality of Mark Nichols. Beautiful person. So good luck to him.
Yeah.
Absolutely, gentlemen.
Yep.
And what about the English pound?
What's happening there?
Okay, stick to real estate, but
Tell us.
it's important to know, because when I think it's Liz Truss, the Prime Minister, came in, she decided, you know, I'm going to be nice. I'm going to give everyone like a good Christmas present. So I'm going to cut the interest. What is it? The rate for the tax rate for corporate and obviously high money. But I think she's gone a bit too far, and the market didn't expect that. So the markets plummet. It's lost 30% to the US dollars now. I think that Australia has gone up by about 10 to 15% against the pound.
Wow.
It's just crazy. There's huge problem now with interest rates over there, and there's a likelihood that people can't pay their mortgage. So banks now have started to stop. So, I mean, it's just crazy. So, but it's going to have repercussion here, because most of the resources are priced in dollars. So if the dollar's now gone up against us, even against us, if you have a look at our dollar, it's gone down, we're going to pay more. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
The fuel excise has been lifted as well, so we're going to be paying more for fuel now as well.
I know.
But you know, funny thing, I was surprised to hear that flow-on effect we shouldn't feel till middle of next week, is what I was hearing. So they say what they were saying, if you see fuel going up now, it's price gouging. Surprise, surprise, from the fuel companies.
Yeah.
I suppose, you know, we already know they're doing that. So
as we're talking about interest rate, I just want to let you guys know that you need to check with your bank. My bank not only has pushed the interest rates up by whatever the Reserve Bank's pushed, but they actually took advantage of that to con me and lift it up by another 0.7. So you might want to check, because a lot of banks are doing silly stuff like this, and Macquarie Bank's done it to me. So we are now going to be talking to Macquarie Bank, because I think that's wrong. You can't be doing it to customers. Right? It's
You're saying it went up 0.5%, but they whacked it up in that same movement.
No, so in the time that I have had the interest rates, the loan moved to them, I think the Reserve Bank's gone up by 1.5. They gone up by 2.2 on mine.
Wow.
That is wrong.
That is so wrong to take advantage of people like this. And I mean, this week I'm going to give it to people. And the next bit that I just want to say too, and I hope that all of us going to have to start beeping the horn. And that is these Macquarie Bank owned cars, you know, the speed car on the side of the road. I think it's one thing to try to keep the road safe, but I don't think it's safe to do it at night when we can't see you. I don't think it's good to do it on the Queen's Day off or on the weekend very early in the morning. I think it's wrong, you know. So what I do now is that when I drive past those guys, I don't care. I just slow down the car almost to nothing, and I just beat the horn at them.
Yeah.
Because there's better way of making money and earning an income rather than sitting down at weird times and trying to catch people.
Yeah. Yep.
And if they are going to just get me in court, do that, because I love to have the day and see how that'll work for them. All right. Anyway, so that's enough for me whinging this week, but I feel good.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Right
And
off.
of course, the big grand finals on this weekend. The footy, Penrith and Eels. Was it been 30? How long has it been, Chris, since they won a grand final?
Who, the Eels or Penrith?
Eels. I think
It's been a fair while.
Hasn't it
It's
been
been a fair
30
while. I
years?
don't know the year. My money's on the Eels. My son beat me last weekend. He won $50. So I've gone double or nothing against, and he's going to Penrith again. I'm going double or nothing. I've got my money on Parramatta. My brother-in-law is a Parramatta supporter. My good mate Craig's a Parramatta supporter. So I'm going to go the blue and gold, see how we go. But I don't like my chances. Penrith are looking pretty good for the weekend.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a good time. I think Australians, it's not Australians, but I think a lot of the guys in Sydney, whether you follow the football or you don't follow the football, that October long weekend, you might get invited to a barbecue. It's just a nice time to get
It's a
together.
special time, isn't it?
Yeah, just celebrate something a little bit different.
And to have
even if
two
it's
like
not in it.
Western Sydney teams in it this year, it's good. It's good for the community. And I mean, look, we're all Aussies at the end of the day. Who doesn't love the footy? So
And the Swannies last weekend, which is unfortunate, but they got absolutely hammered. They got absolutely hammered in the grand final, but they put on a good show. That's the main thing. They got all the way. Anyway, that's
and especially this weekend, it's probably going to be wet. So everything's on. That's going to be nice. Anyway, subject, Lou.
Subject. Okay, so we thought we'd lighten it up a little bit this week, nothing too intense. So we're just going to cover the 5 things that are easier said than done in real estate, because I'm sure the perception out there is that real estate's a walk in the park with your grandma every day of the week, and it's so not. I mean, there's a lot people don't see. It's behind the scenes stuff, hence why we work long hours and whatever else. But I mean, if it was that easy, why isn't everybody doing it? You know what I mean? So
when you said light and easy, I was like, oh, okay. Then I looked at the subject and go, this is not a light and easy subject, man.
No.
Well, did you see the first 5 that I put through? Apparently they were too intense.
Put them in igloos, get them out of tents. I don't know, but geez, I was going through my list and I mean, this is some heavy crap, man. This is
I think so. So let's start with Lou.
Oh, okay.
give us the light stuff. Lou. Give us the
Are we gonna go round and do one each, or what are we doing?
Yeah, I think so. Otherwise,
Listen, if we have, I think if we probably have 5, we do very well.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
I'm going to ask, just on you guys, before we get underway, because on this, I thought, are we coming from like an agent to a vendor, an agent to their employer, or an agent to themselves? Because on every level, there's something a little bit different that is very hard, easy to say and then to do, you know? So
This is the beauty of what we're doing. We're not organized. Therefore, we go anywhere.
No, I think we are organized, but I think we all
I
bring
wrote them all down anyway. I got 3 different pages. I thought, well, I'll just go on all. So I'm prepared at least.
Yeah, well, I think that's the beauty. We all bring our own take on however we read the question, I suppose. So I came from a little bit more of the average salesperson's point of view in terms of what 5 things they might think are easier said than done. So
but to the vendor, to themselves, or to their owner? We'll work that out as we go. We'll work that as we go.
In real estate.
Cool,
So
cool. Cool.
Anyway,
All right.
so I think we can probably all agree one of the harder things that are easier said than done is prospecting. So
I'll take that off the
if
list.
that doesn't make top number one, I don't know what is. I mean, look, we know why people don't like it, and and anyone that says that they do like it's probably not telling the complete truth. I mean, there are good parts to it, but I think the thing with prospecting, it comes with a lot of rejection, and it comes with a lot of fear of, being told no, and being shut door on, slammed phone down on, sworn at, kicked out of the house, all those kinds of things. We are out there door knocking every day, and we get mistaken for 7-day Adventists and all those kinds of things. So we get hunted out sometimes. But I think that's it. Some people might look at prospecting as, well, that's a piece of cake. It actually takes a bit of courage to get out there and do that every day, and discipline. So I think that's got to be one of the top 5 anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
think the job of a real estate agent is not as easy as people like to think. They see us drive nice cars, and that's mainly because we had to churn the cars because the government has linked our car allowance to our pay package. So a lot of people think, it's a very nice and easy job. They get a house, they just put it in realestate.com.au, and then they just get someone who comes and say, I like it. But it's not true. This is why real estate's got something like 95% revolving door within the first 2 years, So within the first 2 years, a brand new person has got 95% chance of not being there at the end of 2 years. And my brother-in-law once said to me, I probably can do your job selling a house. I could actually sell a house. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, you probably could. Like, everyone can sell a house. A monkey can sell a house, and you look like one. So you probably will make it easy. But making a living in real estate, that is not easy. Day in, day out, having people saying to you, you bloody real estate agent, you this, it's not that easy. And yet I can name so fast 10, 20, 100 jobs where people do the wrong thing, lie, cheat, deceive clients more than the real estate agent would do.
Yes.
And yet the real estate agent, he goes out and he cops a beating. But let me tell you, when a builder says to you, well, I can do it for you cheap, but instead of doing putting timber every 60 centimeters, now he does every 90. Well, you're gonna have hollow walls very soon. When a plumber does some kind of job and he says, well, with my camera, this is what I see. How do you know that's what he sees? When even the guy who does that camera, those speed camera, mobile, how do you make sense with the idea that the guy goes at 9 o'clock at night and wait for people in the dark? There's no lights on, right? But real estate agents bad. So I think prospecting is tough. You have constant rejection. And I know some real estate agents are listening for the moment, and really for you guys, you have to have a big goal, something that just drives you. Then the rejection means nothing. I say to people all the time, if door knocking 100 doors a day meant that your brother who's got cancer will be saved, would you do it? We all do it because we're not thinking of the no. We go, I need to get to that 100. Yeah. Well, it doesn't have to have a life on the line. What you can do is to say to yourself, if I did 100 every single day, I can actually buy my own home at the end of a year, 1 year. And there's no landlord that'll tell me what to do with that house. So you have to, and if it's not that, it can be a holiday with family. It can be whatever you want. Find something that you really want. Then you can overcome that constant rejection. So anyone who says to me, I love rejection and I love prospecting, I get it. You have to be a machine. You have to have zero empathy. Something in your head has to go wrong. Has to have gone wrong.
Yep. Chris.
Okay, me. My next one was,
Stephen too. No, Stephen could say something. Stephen, you're a bit like a tourist today, man. What's going on? You have to. You have a big shoe. You have big shoes to fill in, man.
You've got a lot of cutting off and stuff.
You're gonna have to be like him. You have to interrupt. You have to insult us. You have to bully us. You have to do all that stuff, man.
Don't swear though.
I wanted to. Yeah, I couldn't afford that. I agree with everything you're saying, though. Like, I mean, for prospecting, but I think everyone made the same valid points. I think Thomas wrapped it up the best. I mean, it's what it is. And they say anyone who says they like it are either lying or are such a machine that they're just built for it.
Yeah.
absolutely.
And it's just that part of our job. Like, we can't not do it. It doesn't matter how good we get. It doesn't matter how long we've been in the game. We must always be doing it. And yeah, it gets easier, but we're always prospecting in one way or another. So.
Absolutely.
So, have you got another point on prospecting, Chris? Before you move on.
No, not on prospecting.
Okay. Then let me share this next one for people who are in real estate listening to this. Prospecting is only the beginning. The maintenance. That is the game. It sounds easy, but maintenance is so hard.
Yes.
If you get people to hear from you too often with zero news or just news that has nothing special attached to it, they will switch you off. If you don't get in touch with them that often, then they will not even remember you. So the key is now you either have to have a phone number or you have to have an email address, because unless you have either of those two, how are you going to maintain that lead? How are you going to be in contact with people and get them to remember you?
That's right. And that's remembering you is probably a good point too, because you've got to remember that you're door knocking, and probably so is a lot of other agents in the town that are competition, and so you've got to leave a lasting impression and make sure they remember you somehow. So be different. Everybody turns up and knocks and says, are you thinking about selling? No. Okay, bye. Like we've said it before, write down their dog's name, write down the colour of their wall, if they've just put a fresh garden in, or something particular about that home. So when you ring back or you door knock next and you say, how's Jack the dog? We're showing that we are living up to our motto, different in the way we care. So that's a good point.
And without being annoying, I think that's the biggest thing you get is, as you said, being that little bit different, but without being annoying, because I think as agents, we've got a bad enough rap out there ourselves as it is, without or actually I think the worst mistake is someone who actually calls someone and then they call someone, the same person, in 2 streets later. And then you think, really? And that person goes, you know what, this is the 2nd or 3rd time you've called me. And you think, that's, I think, what gets people the bad name. So, I mean, it's trying to do it upbeat, good information, and do what we need to do without getting yourself a bad name or looking more of an idiot than happened to,
The unfortunate thing is, though, with prospecting, phone, door knocking, whatever it is, owners don't remember, brands or names most of the time. They just know you're an agent, and it could be 3 other agents from other agencies before you, and you're the 3rd or 4th or whatever it is, and you're the one that cops it. It's an unfortunate thing in real estate, but it is a balancing act, trying to keep that follow-up going without being a pest.
But that's
very.
It's consistency. I mean, look, some leads, I know I've had to chase people for 7 years before it eventuated to a listing, but it was a maintaining of calling them once a month, every 3 months, whatever they sort of said, and just maintaining and building that relationship.
Yeah.
So anyway, who's next? What's the next?
I thought another good one was a lot of agents, and we're dealing with money. It's and we're dealing with targets and timeframes and so forth. And when an agent says to an owner, I will always act in your best interest, I think, unfortunately, there's a lot of agents out there that don't. They act in their own best interest. So it's easier to say that I'll act in your best interest than to actually act in their best interest. So, for example, a buyer says, look, I'll buy this, help me out, get the offer accepted because I've got, another house to sell. So the agent's looking at the second commission. the agents selling it to a developer, they're going to get resales. They may be close to the quarter and they want to push the sale over the line. So instead of holding out for a higher offer from a buyer, they may get the deal done. Whether they know the owner accepts it, but they know that they probably could get more out of the buyer, scared of losing that buyer. So I think agents not acting in the best interest of their vendor after they've actually said they're acting in the best interest of their vendor. I think that's easier said than done.
I think if you're a bad person or agent to begin with, I think, yeah, that's likely to happen. But thankfully, I think with how we train our people and the process that we go through in terms of transparency and making sure if there's an offer on a property, the whole team knows. And it's not just one agent trying to sell the property in the top drawer where the other agents in the office don't know about it. Like our processes anyway, if an offer comes through, the whole team gets notified. So if anybody's working on a particular buyer for a particular property and it's their day off, they have that opportunity to then go to that particular buyer and say, hey, listen, there's been another offer. What do you want to do? I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
We can put those in place, Lou, but I think we've all been in situations where someone within an office has gazumped someone else, or they haven't held back and waited for another offer to come in and so forth. I think we've all been in situations like that, or we know people that have been in situations like that. Yeah. And it comes down to people being self-serving. And that's the unfortunate thing in real estate, is that regardless of what people say, I think good people have hard times. Good people make bad decisions. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
I think that's what I think. Yeah. Absolutely. I don't like to think that it happens in our franchise, and I like to believe that we're all doing the right thing by our vendors. But agents are human, and they'll make decisions sometimes. And,
of course, I totally agree. It's just, thankfully, what we remind ourselves of is that everybody's got a conscience, and we have to live with that. And so
absolutely,
we try and do the
so
best.
How could sellers then make sure that they have some kind of guarantee against agents who, when they talk, they sound like they're gonna look after you, but they're gonna do something totally different?
Yeah, look. Are you talking about before they choose their agent, Thomas?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be asking for 2 or 3 phone numbers of your most recent sellers.
Yeah, absolutely.
And go on.
Not only the sellers, I'd be asking for the buyers' numbers as well. More importantly as well, the buyers, because the buyers will be able to tell them, you know what, constant feedback. He was open and honest. He didn't play me against the other person. He was very ethical in his dealings with me, so forth and so forth. That's the negotiation phase of things, and the honesty. And the other side is the level of feedback, the level of integrity. You do what you say what you do, and so forth. And that would be the vendors. And I think that is the easiest way for any vendor to choose their agent. Give me the last 3 phone numbers of your last 3 sales and your last 3 buyers.
Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah.
Love it.
That in itself is easier said than done, though, because we already do that. I mean, but how many times have we been to a property where no one's ever given that to them? They haven't had the option to do it. You set landmines up and say, have you ask them for some phone numbers of their last 3 sellers, and they either don't want to do it because they don't want to ask the question, or they've been told, no, you can't have that information because of the Privacy Act. The people we get to touch, yes, they're going to experience that, but the ones we don't, the ones who are going to miss out, because it's not as if it's written on the guide to selling your property by fair trading, ask for references from your agent, because it's not. And that's the hard thing of, we can do it, we can talk about it, but we can't make everyone else get out there and do it and make it a requirement.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right in that. And I think maybe there's a little bit more education on our side to the vendor, some way of saying, guys, you know what, if you're not going to choose me, don't choose me. But if you're going to choose someone, this is what I think you should be doing.
Yeah.
And you know what, if your agent says to you, oh no, I can't release that information. No. He doesn't want to release that information. Because if you had happy vendors and happy buyers, they'd be going, absolutely, give me their, give my number out. Anyone could call me. And that would be the response from a happy seller, a happy vendor, a buyer or a happy vendor. Yeah. So we've got to work out a way how we can educate our vendors or our future vendors, even just vendors out there that aren't fortunate enough to deal with the Wiseberry brand, how they should be selecting an agent. And even the fact, I think a lot of vendors will not call those people, but the fact that they know they have the numbers, they will then go, man, this guy's got nothing to like.
It can be even simpler than that too, in terms of ask them to make an inquiry on something that they're selling now, but don't tell them that you're a potential seller, or shoot them an email and see at what speed they get back to you, and don't mention selling, because, you know, not unfortunately, it's actually a good thing. We do get judged a lot on the speed in which we return phone calls, inquiries, and emails to people. And, you know, it's particularly with buyers, they are our next sellers. And so we have a policy that a buyer inquiry is returned immediately at the first available opportunity. Hence why sometimes they get text out to us when we're on the road or whatever, because the speed in which you reply is a good indication of whether you're going to be the listing agent in the long run. And how many times I hear it anyway. Oh, thank you for returning my call. I've put 10 inquiries out and no one's ever returned my call.
I was just about to say that this week, actually last week, same scenario, 4 or 5 people, brand new villa, hit the market. I'm calling them up, email inquiry, ringing them up. They go, oh, you called me. I was just expecting an email. No one calls me. I'm like, well, why'd you leave your phone number? It was fantastic. You know, they were pleased to be hearing from an agent. Yeah. I was getting emails back from them after they heard a voicemail saying, thanks for the voicemail, got it, see you on Saturday. So agents out there, they need to lift their game. Seriously, we're not in a strong market. It's a buyer's market. You need to be servicing the buyers to an extremely high level. You should have been doing that already, but you need to be doing that in this market.
Even more, yeah.
Some of the stats you read from the industry that like realestate.com and Homely and the like put out, it's atrocious. I mean, you know, 85% of buyer inquiries aren't answered within 24 hours.
Yeah.
You know, so you just think, really? Like, you know, that's criminal. So, but I see in our offices, I mean, the number of flowers and chocolates and thank you cards that the team receive from people saying, listen, really sorry we couldn't buy from you, but we have to tell you that we're telling all our friends about you. We've even asked people for testimonials just on that, you know, saying, listen, you know, do a Google review, tell someone that it was great to deal with us as a buyer and we followed you up, even if you didn't buy from us, you wished you could have, you know. So
yeah, well,
you see that again in the team, in the office, you know.
Yeah, and yeah, it's a good, like I've picked up quite a lot of managements and brought a lot of managements into our office from dealing with buyers who have bought through other agents, but then didn't get that after service, after exchange to settlement, where they knew full well it was an investment, but did nothing about it, didn't be proactive about, hey, listen, we manage property as well, can we help? Whereas I've realized they're calling me for property management info, knowing once I realized, hang on, they're settling in 3 weeks and these other agents haven't even approached the subject. And I've brought maybe 5 or 6 properties in just in the last 12 months by that means alone. So yeah, big one.
They'll give their phone number they'll let the vendors call them. So that's probably the best piece of advice to a vendor if you're choosing your agent. Call the last 3 customers, both sellers and buyers.
Beautiful.
Absolutely.
Love it.
Steve?
All right, Stephen, what's your next one?
Well, I wrote 3 lists. I wrote one as a principal, one as a salesperson, and one as a property manager. So I can give you 5 on each. But I think from the point of view as a principal, recruiting. I mean, as doesn't matter how hard you try. Everyone goes, oh, recruiting's easy, but I mean, you only have to get together as leaders, and doesn't matter if it's our best leader or, you know, the person who needs some help, they all have that same problem, you know. It's just, and now it's even worse. I mean, before COVID, it was manageable, but post-COVID, it's as tough as can be. I mean, no one's wanting to work, and the ones that are wanting to earn necessarily more money than they'll even bring in a year, you know. So I think that's definitely, and it doesn't matter whether it's sales or property management or sales assistant or whatever, tough gig out there at the moment that, you know, people go, oh, you've always got an ad in, you must always be finding staff. I was like, no, I've always got an ad in because we're not finding the staff. That's the problem, you know?
Yeah. And as you say, like since COVID, it's a different, you know, people would normally come with, you know, I want to earn this much and I, you know, maybe don't really want to work a Saturday, but I will if I have to. That was probably the most two requirements or recommendations. And now it's, I want to work from home 3 days of the week. I want to earn more than you. And I only want to work 6 hours a day. Do you know what I mean? And so,
And can you make my phone calls for me?
yeah.
You know, we're trying to be flexible.
Yeah.
You know what? If someone wants to work from home 3 days of the week and they can pull the deals in, I don't mind.
Well,
You
this
know, I interviewed a girl. I spoke to a girl today for an interview next week, and she wants to work school hours, but be a salesperson. I said, go for it. Never done it before, but you know what? I'm happy to try it. In fact, I've always wanted to find a team of someone who works Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and be even two mums returning to the workforce who only want to do 3 days of the week, and they can be Team Mary Jane. And, you know, but do you think I can find anyone? No. And you put it out there, flexible working arrangements, and people go, wow, that's flexible, but they don't apply, you know, so it's, but you know what, we consider anything these days. I think if you can work 6 hours a day or 3 hours a day and achieve the results you need, go for it. Let's bring it to the table and give it a go. You know,
Yeah, well, that's what we've learnt. You know, anything's possible through after COVID, you know.
We spoke about it last week. The pendulum is moving towards people, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
We spoke about the people. And for me, the first recruiting we need to do is to understand that we constantly need to recruit our own people every day. A lot of people are focusing on recruiting, and then they keep on treating their own staff bad. No, you need to recruit your own people first. Then extra people will come. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point.
It's not easy. Listen, it's not easy. But a lot of these guys don't understand. There's businesses out there that are advertising good money. Like if you think that you're giving them 50,000 and you should be happy, there's businesses that are giving 100,000. But let me tell you one thing: it always comes with a catch. If you're not performing, it's simple. You'll be out very fast. And not only you burn the bridges from where you were, but so they know by getting you there, there's no comeback for you. And then what they do is now they treat you very simple. You get it, you run, because you stop, I will kick you out. And so we have to be very careful about believing that the grass is green on the other side.
Totally. That's what we sort of say, you know, the grass might be greener, but it's just as hard to mow. And one of the things I said to one of the team lately is it's probably also got a septic tank under it, so be careful, you know. So, but that's the thing, they get lured in by these, you know, whiz-bang offers and stuff like that. But
that's human nature. I mean, you know, everyone wants the glitz and the glamour, and, you know, they're not thinking long-term. I mean, it's like, you know, but again, how do you convince people the grass is not greener? Yep, you look after your people, you work with your people, you recruit your people daily, but there's just some people that it doesn't matter what you offer them and what you do with them. They see bigger money up the road and, you know, match it or I'm gone kind of thing. And that's the sad part, because you know what? The word I'm gone will be true, because in 1 or 2 months, they'll be out on the area. They, as Thomas said, they burnt the bridge behind them. Real estate career 101's gone, you know?
Yeah. Yep.
All right, Sal, what's next? What's your point?
Who?
Sal.
Oh, okay. I had the balancing of the activities in a real estate job. That it's very easy to say the job is easy. You just have to prospect, just have to sell, go out and list and sometimes manage. And then when you have to do it, you don't even know where to start. It is so difficult. So I would like people to really start thinking that first they have to look at their stock. Where is it at? And then they have to really understand that maybe that week they have to put a little bit more in one aspect or the other aspect. So, for example, I have one of my sales guy in the first month of this quarter. He was already at $34,000 at the end of the month. And I said to him, put your head down, look at the listing sites. What it means is that you must make sure you do prospecting. Don't do anything else. Don't even celebrate, just prospecting. But then he didn't. He started thinking that now I know a lot. So, and then what's worse is that his mates start calling him and go, man, I can't believe that you got that many 6 listings, and then it's not even the end of the month, and it's your first month in sales, and oh, blah, blah, blah. He's now thinking, man, I'm top dog. He ends up the quarter only just at base. It's the balancing is so hard. You need to really trust the people who've done it before you, or your leaders or your managers, because they somehow can have that sniff where you need to focus, which is something that you probably will get maybe after 18 months. But before that, you don't know. You think that you're doing right. There's real estate agents out there that, because it's a buyer's market, what do? They focus more on buys. Big mistake. You know? So the balancing act is not as easy as we'd like to think.
100%. And I think it sort of rolls into one of the topics, or it's in the same line of managing your time, you know, and your day, because that's a thing. And it's like what you were saying there with where we're at in the quarter. Like, we had one salesperson that I think he was off for about a month, and it was looking like that he wasn't going to make it. And I said, well, mate, you need to focus on buyers now, because this late in the quarter, you've just come back and you're not going to get a listing on in time for it to sell or whatever else. We've got good stock out there. Just focus on selling it. But sometimes they can't think like that. Sometimes all they want to do is list. So yeah, you're 100% right. It's working on the right thing at the right time, but managing your day when people can come in, and particularly a lot of salespeople can be busy doing nothing, but they look busy, but they're actually doing nothing productive. But we used to have, back when I started, there was blockout time. So we'd have 2 hours of prospecting, 2 hours for buyers, and 2 hours for listings and whatever else. And sometimes that really helps to have a structure like that. Yeah.
But I think it comes back to having goals as well. I mean, you know, and knowing our team's goals and knowing what that person wants to achieve, because, you know, people do get lost. You know, we all know people who, you know, they think they're having 5 minutes off, and 5 hours later they haven't actually got back to the job at hand, you know, and there's the rest of the day gone. But, you know, if we're sort of measuring them along the way, and I mean, I say to my team, my job is to get you to base, but if you want $85,000 or $100,000 this quarter, my job is to get you there. Do I have your permission? Good. Then I keep going. So we revisit the goals, we revisit what they're doing, because if not, you're a lost ship, but you've got a lost ship with no direction of where you're going or what you want, then you are just going to go, you know what, I did 34 in a month. Like, how good am I? This is going to be $100,000 quarter. I'll just sit back and wait for the rest to flow in like it did the first month. And then, as you say, they either make it or they don't, you know?
And going back to what we were saying at the beginning, people who think real estate's easy have no idea. And so the work that actually goes into this job, you wouldn't do it for base pay, would you? I mean, you can get that money packing shelves at Coles these days. So why would you not do that if you just get home base? Yeah.
The sad part is, the stat still is that 80% of salespeople in New South Wales live on the base wage.
I know, and 20% make 80% of the money.
You know, so you just think, so if those 80% suddenly want to go and earn $100,000, I mean, that's going to look way better than the 50 they're currently getting, because like they're not making any more than the 50. So give me the 100 to still do nothing, you know? Yeah. That's the trouble. Like, it's, you know, you're in an industry where the success rate realistically is so low.
It's like you said, it's that time management. It's doing the right things at the right time. And unimportant tasks done well doesn't make them important.
Yeah.
So it's all encompassing, that thing that Thomas brought up. It's a very big one. I'm guilty of it, doing administration work during, you know, productive hours. I mean, you get caught up, and sometimes you have to do it and so forth. But It happens. It happens, and
Yeah.
it steals good time. It steals you good time away of the day.
I like your line. I like your line, though, Chris. I'm trying to write it down.
What was that line?
Unimportant things done
Unimportant
well
things done well are not necessarily important.
doesn't make them important. Yeah.
Doesn't make them important. Yeah.
But then if you're committed and dedicated to doing what you want to achieve, it then cuts into your personal life because you need to go and make those wasted hours back up at a later stage, because the amount of work you need to do to achieve your goal is the same. Whether you waste half the day and have to work through the night, it's still that same work level.
Yeah, exactly. So it's what we say. It's not the hours you put in, it's what you put in the hours that count. Yeah.
I always remember Thomas is saying that he used at a conference once, do what you have to do before you do what you want to do.
Yeah.
And I say that to people, I think they hate me now, but I constantly use it. Can I do this? You know what? Do what you have to do before you do what you want to do.
I say that to myself when I walk past the shops and see a nice pair of shoes, and I'm like, do what you have to do. Do what you want to do.
Buy the shoes.
Go in there and buy
You
those
have to
shoes.
buy the shoes.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Right, so who's turn?
You just said it like a Skywalker, like Yoda. Do what they have to do. Well, Stephen, I don't mind if for the next 15 years they hate you more than they hate me.
Oh, that's right. They're all currently reading your book now. So I think they're all sort of thinking, gee, he's not as bad as we thought. Like, gee, this dude, gee.
Yeah, we're getting a bit of that,
He's a
actually.
bit normal. Like, I didn't realize, I just thought it was like some tin thing that sat up on a shelf. But
What did one of them say in the sales meeting today?
Hold on. So you guys have been generous enough to get your entire team
yep,
a copy of the book so they can read. Yeah.
Entire team, so not just salespeople.
Amazing, not good enough. Book.
Amazing, not good enough. So not just the salespeople, but the property managers, the admin,
every
wow.
member of staff.
everybody.
Every member of staff. Our parents have got a copy. Our kids have got a copy.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
And one of the salespeople said today, Thomas, which I thought was really, really lovely. I always thought Thomas was this. What did she say, Stephen? Not not human. Like not human. It was just too like unstoppable, unbreakable. Blah blah blah. He's actually just a normal guy. Like, yeah, he is. So, but this is the thing. Like, I asked people to describe you in 3 words before they touch the book. Confidence, unbreakable, unstoppable, blah 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 blah. I said, read the book. You'll just see that he's just human like everybody else, and it's really nice for them because
That's nice.
they really, actually, that's what she said. They all put you on a pedestal and think you're this unbreakable, unstoppable human, which you are in whatever, but they think that they'll never amount to that. But the message that I'm trying to get them to understand, and what your book's going to do, is that you're just a human like everybody else at the end of the day, like the rest of us. And yeah, so it's going to be interesting what comes of it after we get through the book. But
I think you've shown more of a human side. Like,
yeah,
a lot of these people have just seen Thomas in recruit training. So
that's it.
They see him have a bit of fun. They see him dance. They see them pass or fail their exam. Then they come back and, might, see him at training or whatever. So now they're really thinking there's this really soft, gentle, caring person underneath all that, who's possibly experienced issues way worse than some of us have, or some of them are going, you know what, I thought I had it bad, but you know what, I think I found someone to equal me now. So
Yeah.
I think it's certainly changed a lot of opinions.
That's nice.
And I think we'll go a long way to help people, because I've heard the comment already from someone, gee, if a dude can go and do what he's done with what's happened to there, I think I've got no excuse. So I better get my act together and go out and create a life for myself.
Yeah.
That's what I love about fiction books and
Fairy tale. That's what we said. It's just a fairy tale at the end.
I had so many lines. I was just shutting up.
I got another good one. Good one, because I know, like, I struggled with this a fair bit in the beginning, and I've just put a subtitle here, Getting Back on the Horse. And what I meant by that was, you know, you celebrate a really good win and you celebrate it for too long, and then it affects you down the track, or you have a really catastrophic in your mind event where you lose a really good listing or a vendor, and you got to pick yourself back up from that. So I think a lot of the easier said than done things are when you do have a good result or you have a bad situation, is getting back onto that level of momentum, positivity. I can do this. Because if I had a dollar for every time somebody said to me, Lou, did you think about quitting real estate at ever? And I went, every day for about the first 2 years. And they go, what, really? And I go, yeah, because it's not easy what we do. And you have a really good quarter, you have a really good sale, and the next day you wake up and they rescind or something, and you just go, oh, maybe this is not for me, maybe I'm not good enough. And you got to battle that inner thoughts and demons and whatever else that all arise from that. So I think it's easier said than done to just get back on the horse, but it's crucial. It's a crucial thing that we have to do.
Lou, I think the problem with that is that a lot of people feel that they shouldn't be feeling that way. And they harden themselves by, oh, I shouldn't feel so bad, or I shouldn't celebrate so much. I think it's the wrong way to look at it. I think feel bad, feel good, but don't feel that way too long. So don't celebrate your victories too long. Don't be in the dumps too long. Acknowledge it. Okay, it's shit. What can I do? Yes. All right. How can I fix it? Can I not fix it? Was it me? Was it something else? Analyze the problem. Celebrate your victory. Have a lunch, whatever, and then move on. Get back to work.
Yeah. But the thing is, Chris, it's easier said than done when you say that to a salesperson. You'll be right. Think about it. Move on to your next sale. Move on to your next listing. It's easier said than done, like coming from your leader. You'll be right. Get on with it. Whereas I know when that happened to me, if I lost a vendor, I think the hardest one for me to come to terms with is if I didn't sell a person's property, because I felt like I let them down. And I really struggled with that, because I felt like I wasn't good enough, and I've promised these people something and I've let them down so badly, and could I have possibly ruined their life because now they've lost, it was hard for me to do. Now I don't think that, because I just, if it happens, it happens, and it's just part of life. But it's hard if you're sort of that way inclined. It's hard for some people to bounce back from a crashed sale. It's hard. Like, there's one particular person in our team, if they don't list something and someone else gets it, they go into absolute catastrophic mode for 2 or 3 days. Why? And they want to quit, and I'll just go do this instead. And you've got to talk them around. It's a hard thing.
But I think the way we can help people with that is, see that they're going through it. And it is, like you said, it's easier said than done. But I think if we help them and realize that we've gone through it as well.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'll sometimes sit there and I'll say to my sales team, look, this happened this last week, and I can tell you, I was absolutely gutted. And let them see that it can happen to everyone. But then this is my solution of how I got on, because I can sit here for the rest of the quarter and cry over it, or I can go out and find another better listing to replace it. But you know what? If we talk to our people like that, I think that's where they'll understand. Whereas it's easy to go, Chris, stop celebrating, dude. You've had long enough now. Get back out there. And they think, seriously. But you know what? If I can take you out for a lunch, Chris, and we'll have a bit of a celebration and show you, but then let's set the plan up of where we're going. Or
and that's it. Reset their focus.
And that's where I think, so that's why it's still another important thing to be so close to your team. I mean, COVID, we could all work from home, but you could put a brave front on COVID and not everyone would know. But when they walk in the office and they're dragging their feet, and you think, all right, they're not good like they said, but couldn't see feet being dragged as they walked from the bedroom to the study at home. You couldn't see that. So getting them back in the team and getting close to them in that way, they're like, they are part of our family. So we owe it to them to know how they're feeling, which is why, that little walk around every morning when you just go and talk to people is, it's, you know who needs help, and who doesn't need help, and who wants to talk and who doesn't want to talk, and the one who doesn't want to talk is the one that you probably need to spend the most time with, because they're wanting to get out there quickly. So I think knowing your people, it is a hard one. You're never going to go out. I mean, You know, even Lisa gave that one to me. She said, keeping up the pace and the momentum, because she watches the team, you know, like we're talking about getting back on the horse, so to speak, but it's even keeping up that pace. You know, I've got to do this many prospecting calls every day, and I need a listing appointment and a buyer appointment, and I need this every single week. You know, if we're not and that's why I'm, you know, and I said to Lou the other day, next year, every 3 months, everyone's having a week off. They've got to do it. But we're trying to get people weekends off and things like that so that they don't burn out and get to the end. Because it's okay to get back on the horse, but you've got to try to stay on the horse as well.
Yeah.
And keep that momentum up, keep the pace happening. So I think it's up to us. I mean, you know, yes, it's easy to say, oh, well, people have got to look after themselves, but they're part of our team, they're part of our family. If we're not mindful of what can happen and mindful of how to get out of it, because some people honestly don't know.
Well, that's the thing. And I think that's the thing for me. I probably took it personally a lot and thought, well, it must be something wrong with me and I've let them down and whatever else. But as I've grown in my career and whatever else, if I've done the best I can, I couldn't have done any more. But going forward, I think the things that can help people is, you know, if you do lose a listing or a sale or whatever, the easiest way to get over that is just find your next one. Get your next win. You know, don't take things personally. If you know you've done the best you can with what you've got, you can't do any more than that. So you've got to be content with that. If you know that you've dropped the ball and you could have done more, then you've also got to be content with the fact that you've let somebody down potentially, and you've got to find the lesson in that and move on. You can't dwell on it, because tomorrow's another day, and it can ruin a quarter, it can ruin a year, it can ruin a career if you dwell on it too long.
But I think it's like anything. My lesson to my team is every time I've lost something or something didn't happen, something better comes along.
So, yeah. And
it doesn't matter whether it's a wife, a girlfriend, you know, I mean, I'm not getting any more to come along because I found the next one now, but, you know, but it's the same thing. Something always comes along. I mean, I lost the sale a couple of months back because of, you know, major issues with the property, but you know what? It sold a couple of weeks later to someone else for $20,000 more. Who cares? Something better came along, you know, so it's always the way to look at it. And if it made you guys laugh, well, you know what? If it picks up a team member and gets them back on the horse, well, then that job's done.
The gem, I reckon, of this podcast. But anyway, listen, while you're talking, I'm just thinking about this point that really I hope the book on NGE is going to help people, because it's one thing for us to tell people, get over it and move on. But unless they sort out their NGE, they're not good enough in them, they won't move on. It will be like you speaking in Swahili to someone in England. They won't get it. So what I would rather think is how to teach people to fish for themselves rather than giving them a fish. And I think that, man, people have to get through the NGE. Yes, I'm listening to you guys about your stuff, and it's really been nice to hear some of the stuff. But I don't look at my upbringing and some of the stuff. And a friend of mine read a book and apparently said, oh, man, Thomas' dad, wasn't he a bad guy? And I go, no, you didn't get it. Thomas' dad made Thomas who he is.
Yeah.
And Thomas could either have stayed in the jail rather than seeing the good side of it, because there's always two sides to things. Or Thomas went out and looked at the good side of what he's done and why it's been done that way. And Thomas realized that Thomas' dad did not find the good side of his upbringing to bring out the best of Thomas. And I think that we need to really make a difference, a differentiation between things happens versus it's the thing that we do with what things happen that matters most.
Yeah, it is. And I don't want to say the BB word, but when things happen, a lot of the time and I'm talking about Brene Brown, Chris. I've seen you frown.
Oh, okay, yeah, rightio. Airbnb, what are we talking about?
I said the BB word, but a lot of the time, what happens is it's the story we're telling ourselves. which is, you know, nothing more than a made up story that we've replayed in our minds for our whole lives or for however long. So, yeah. Anyway, what else have we got? What else?
I've got.
Go on,
What
Sam.
have you got, Big Ben?
No, I was
I've
just
just got-
I'll go.
Everyone.
All right, go.
I said big man. I didn't say tall man.
We to train daily, even by yourself, to train daily.
Yes.
I think that's a very hard thing to do. It's very hard. I know even now with my team, I've got all this stuff in my head that needs to be done. Putting time aside to train, and there's so much so important, and it's so important to do it at the right time of the day, not in the morning like we used to. You know, pick a day during the peak of the day when energy levels aren't maybe as high, and train, but also just train ourselves. Whether it's reading of a night time, of a morning, whatever it may be, training our bodies, training our minds. I think there's we put so much emphasis onto our work life. We put more focus in our car, I think, than we do to ourselves. So I think just that training and yes, I will train daily. It just doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah, but you're right though, Chris, in terms of training ourselves. Like, there's lots of little things that we can do that help, and it doesn't have to be a full hour. It can be 5 minutes of what am I grateful for in the morning. It can be 10 minutes in the car between appointments where you just listen to one podcast, or you read audio, like have the Audible read through to the car for you of one chapter or something. But you know, when talking about training teams, we used to try to do that. And you know what? We found it was so hard with our schedules and different offices and all the rest of it. Now, you know what we do? We have one dedicated training session a week on a Friday, and it's in the middle of the day. Sometimes it goes for an hour, sometimes it goes for 2. But you know what? Everybody knows, like clockwork, it's like a sales meeting. They do not miss it. They do not dare not turn up to it. It is our scheduled training, and everybody brings ideas. And we talk about during the week, what does anybody need help on, and we'll bring those ideas to the surface before we get to training. But then if Stephen and I are in training, because we always do it together, if we're in training and we see that, okay, maybe those ideas that were brought to the table are probably not the right ideas, they were just masked to get us off track for something else, we switch track and we go, and we're always texting each other going, nah, this way, that way, this person, that person. But we have a dedicated time, because you know what, training the team every day, it's just not possible when you've got 15 people in your office, you know, to try and get everybody's schedules around. It's just sales meetings, leadership meetings, marketing meetings, all this stuff. It's just not possible sometimes, but it certainly is possible to spend 5 or 10 minutes a day on yourself. There's no reason, there's no excuse, because we've got 24 hours.
And I think that's where we need to still try to help people too, because, you know, we were in the Wiseberry book club last year, and we had to read a chapter every week of a certain number of books that we're working on with Thomas, and a whole screen full of people, because we did it during COVID. And I know there were people who were sitting in the car on Monday morning out there trying to finish the chapter off.
Yeah.
Because reading one chapter a week is a big deal to them. So it's easy to sit there and I'm not knocking anyone who does it, but it's easy to sit there and go, do this and do this and do that. I know there's people out there who will struggle. There's people who would struggle to even open that book yet. So that, you know, so I think everyone's got their own way of learning, and some people just don't know how to learn. Some people don't know how to train, and it's then up. So again, we're going to be running, you know, in a few weeks, we're going to start our book club off again, totally voluntary. You don't have to come to it, because there's no point having people who don't want to be there. But it'll help those people at least get one chapter read per week, because other people are going, I finished the book. And you watch some of the eyes thinking, I'm up to page 3, you know, so everyone does it differently. So it is a good one though. Daily training is hard, because I think a lot of people just don't know what to do. I mean, you know what to do, Chris.
Yeah, but sometimes, Steve, I think some people don't understand the importance of it. And that's when you have those people going, oh, I've put my hand up to be in this book club. So I know now they've finished the book, but I've only got, you know, this 15 minutes before it starts to read the rest of the chapter. I don't think they understand the importance. They think it's something that I have to do, not something that I get to do. And be able to improve themselves and improve their lives and others around them and their results and whatever it may be. I think a lot of people miss that there's so much more positivity to that training, whether it's a book club or whatever aspect. I just don't think a lot of people understand the importance.
You know,
and that's why they don't know how to do it, is because they don't put the time into understanding how to do it.
Yeah, you're right. But you know the thing I found, Chris, when I start, and I've always done it, but I sort of didn't really share that with the team. So I've always listened to a podcast on my way to work, way home from work, whatever, all day in the car. That's all I listen to. I refuse to listen to anything else. But then when I started sharing that with people and telling people that's what I did, because I say, well, you know, by the time I get home and do kids, dinner, this, that, you know, it's 10 o'clock at night, and what am I going to do then, you know? And it suddenly started to rub off. And so when you do it and you start saying, hey, listen, I listened to this really great podcast, and you just start sharing it, or you do other things like, I've read this great book, here it is, or I've just read this article, here it is, you know, like start small, you know, something's better than nothing. You know,
no, absolutely.
But it also comes back to a bit of discipline too, Chris. I mean, there's those that if they don't put a book up will probably still manage to slide through the earth and get everything they want. Then there's those who will just lose their way totally because the techniques, the market, everything's going to move on past them. I mean, you've got to again look back to how disciplined you are to what you want to do and what your goal is to get there. I mean, it's all right for you, Chris. You're rich, you know, so you can just keep doing
something I don't.
You don't have to worry about whether you get your business to that next level. But then, of course, comes the other problem that you don't have to, like, there's people who are so busy working in their business just to keep their doors open that opening a book or doing a bit of training or something like that is the last thing on their mind, because I could have been making another prospecting call because they're at desperation point, and which a lot of salespeople are. Hey, listen, I've got a target to make. You want me to read that book, or you want me to listen to that that podcast? Like, so.
Yeah.
You don't have to go far. You don't have to go far. I was in an office on Tuesday, and this is like a top office, top level. And after 5 minutes of doing some kind of role plays with them, I'm thinking, hold on, this is real rusty stuff. And I just did some training on just market reviews. And at the end, they said, oh man, we are so far from what market review training is. We think we know market reviews. We've been training on what we think we know. And yet this guy just turns up and he just gave us a wake-up call. So I think that there is training and there is training. Training is not about watching the clock tick for an hour. Training is about shifting yourself to the next level, no matter what it takes. If you're here, you must go here. If you're here, you must just go here. But unless you shift yourself to that next level, you're wasting time.
Yep, 100%.
100%. And that shift, that's the thing. Like, you can do that in 5 or 10 minutes. You don't need an hour sometimes, you know. It's just, yeah.
So what's the last one? I think we have time for one last one.
Well, we better throw one in for property managers.
Oh, sure.
I think we've been talking a lot about everything, resilience, property managers.
Yeah, well, that was one of the things they brought up, not letting the job and people get to you. But they said vacating inspections.
I have to say that I really, really feel for property managers because, and I've said it to them before, salespeople get to enjoy the reward of, you know, dealing with people's biggest assets and selling fantastic homes, and you know, once you've found the buyer and you've put the deal together and it rides out to settlement, you know, where property managers, they're dealing with a lot of crap a lot of the time in terms, and when I say crap, what I'm meaning is this broke, that broke, this is leaking, my roof just fell in, this person hasn't paid their rent. They deal with a lot of negativity, which is not necessarily avoidable, but it's just the reality of what they do. And I think property managers, they're almost like people that work in like paramedic stuff. It takes a certain person. It takes a certain person to do that job, really. And
It seems like they work in third world countries.
Look, there's a lot of good things about property management,
Oh, yeah.
but I do think it's like
First-class citizens.
it's the resilience, like it's having that, because I've heard the girls today, and I mean, we've got a tenant who honestly believes he paid an extra week's rent. He can't prove it. He has no grounds to believe, but he just thinks that he did. So he's going to hold everything up. You go to a vacating inspection, and I mean, the poor property manager, the minute they walk in the door, 9 out of 10 tenants are going to tell them that this was better than when they moved in now.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is, because there's a lot of good tenants out there, but a lot of the times it's not. And then it starts, and you're involved with a lot of emotion. And I don't think necessarily in sales, I think we see the same emotion. We see someone go, goo gar, I want to buy a house. We see an owner say, I'm not taking that offer. You're not going to let them steal the house from me. But in property management, someone spent 3 hours or 3 days cleaning a property, and a property manager goes in with their white glove and goes, dirty, and they break down. I mean, there's a reason we have 2 staff members go to every inspection, because if they're going to knock one out, the other one can kick them up. But that's true. It happens. And, that's the thing that we've talked a lot about, the sales side of it. But I think for the property managers, it's having that get up and go, and know that when you get to work in the morning, the first phone call at 9:01 could be, why is that tenant not paid their rent? Go terminate them for me. It just happens. So I think it's having that, not letting the job get to you, and know that when you go out the door, you're not sitting there making yourself a to-do list at midnight, like most property managers do, of the things they need to do tomorrow when they go, because they forgot to do them today because it just hit them,
Yeah.
You just spoke about vacating inspections. Is that when there's a lot of headaches, right?
Yeah, so that's when you vacate a property. Yep.
Okay, I'm not a property manager, which I'm very lucky, and I don't think I have the intelligence to do property management. But if I can really say this, and this is real, this is happening live, so it's real. As Stephen was talking, I was just thinking, all right, what would I do? And first thing, property managers, what we need to be having is, you must always think solution, not problems. People will throw you problems, you still think solution. So here's 2 of my solutions already in the time that Stephen brought this up. One, we need to have preparation. And what it means is, if you're going to do vacating inspection, it's important to let people know a few days ahead of schedule what you're going to be doing, the things that you're going to go through, and how they can actually help them, and why it is important for them, because people believe more in what's in it for them than what's in it for you. So if you say, well, we're going to need this, we're going to need that, we're going to need that, you're not going to get them to work with you. What you have to do is, you're going to have to say, hey, listen, guys, these days a driver's license is important, but when you're a tenant, that is even more important. So let's try and go through all of this, and let me show you what it is. I know that some property managers can't wait to put their gloves on to walk into a house and do this, because that's my number 2 point. They don't want to work with people. They want to trap people. So property managers, you must change your mindset. You have to want to work with people. Like when I train people, I tell them, I don't want to fail you. I want to do everything I can right now so that I don't have to fail you. So it's the same thing. If I was a property manager, I'd say to them, listen, I'm coming up for the vacating inspections. Here are the list of the things I'm going to be looking at. Work with me here, right? Here's the target that we should have as a team, 100% ticked. So can you please go through those points and make sure you do that, because that will give you a great reputation. Also, anything in the future that may affect you, whether it is tenancy, lending for a house you're going to buy, anything, it's reputation.
Yeah, and they all want their bond back. I mean, and that's the thing, like we're holding a bond, and that's probably one of the biggest things, Stephen, isn't it? Like when we go back and we say, oh, look, this isn't...
That's taking them hostage.
No, but it's
Well,
the
it's not
reality though.
really. I think the reality is today, a lot of tenants claim their bond themselves. So that's why, I mean, our PMs are certainly beautiful people and definitely not like Thomas just described, wanting to trap people or not be solution orientated. We send out everyone a guide to vacating. We actually offer pre-vacating inspections as well to make that day a little bit easier. But you know, the trouble is when you give your 21 days notice as a tenant, you've got a new place to move into and you've got to do this and you've got to do that. And you just move on to that stage. So you can offer a lot of those, but you've got to have, I mean, it's like, you know, market value is a willing buyer and a willing seller. If you don't have someone on the other end willing to take the solutions that you're going to offer to someone, they're still not going to happen. And you've still got to deal with that staff member. You've still got to pick them back up and move them around to the next one.
Yeah.
And I can't help it. And I can't help but think, while you're talking, I'm thinking, what you're saying is that I did not build a relationship with that tenant. What I do is I rent it out and see you later, sayonara, hasta la vista, see you, baby. And then I wait until you're out to really go through the process. No. What about within 3 months? Hey guys, within a week or two, hey guys, how was your move in? How do you feel? What about in 3 months? Guys, how are you enjoying it? Within 6 months, I mean, what are we doing? If we don't build a relationship, if we don't put the jelly bean in, we can't take it out. I get it. And I can see already property manager is going to go, this guy, that's why he's not in property management, because he does not understand. We got so much work already. But here's the thing. Maybe 80% of your problems will disappear because you spend it in the right place.
Right. Look, they're good points. I think it's just a hard thing with you're dealing with humans, you know. So, I mean, but it is true. I mean, we go and see our tenants 3 months after they move in and we do an inspection. And some tenants, you can say, how's it been? What's it like living here? You know, are there any problems? And you've got the other tenant who basically says, I'm walking outside. You do your own thing. I don't want to be here. Or the one who says, pick the key up. I use the key. I won't even be there. You know, so it's and you know what, the ones that are the good ones along the way that you have built the rapport, it's true what Thomas says, they're probably your best vacatings. The ones who didn't want to know you, but you can't make people want to know you. You can't, you know, we have our tenants of the month, you know, our offices, but you know what, there's some people who don't, who make a point of saying, I love that idea. There's other people who make a point of saying, never nominate me for tenant of the month.
I understand that. But here's the exercise for your property managers. Try and find out. Tell me on every one of my tenants, who's got the desire to gain and the pleasure to gain, and who's got the avoidance of pain. Because those who've got the avoidance of pain, I will give them that. So then they go, oh, geez, okay. I don't want the tenant of the year, but Jesus, man, I don't want that sticker. Yeah. So once you know it, you have to give people what they want. I mean, I'm a slow kind of driver, so give me a fast car, I'm not gonna like it. You give me a slow.
True.
Is this where we move to fairy tales, was it?
Yeah.
You have to know what interests me. All right. Okay, so well, we only have a few minutes left, so why don't we just close this here now? So, and I will let our guest close today. Is it, if it's okay with you, Louise?
Oh. Really, or Stephen?
He's doing a good job. He's doing a good job.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
So I think that we've covered.
No, you're gonna close. You're gonna close. It means you last. We're gonna start first.
Okay, no worries. That's good.
Okay, so I'll start first. I think there's a lot of things that are not easy. We probably only have covered a few of the things that you need. What you need is to put your ego aside and say to yourself, I'm going to learn from someone who knows. And then you will see your improvements. The problem comes when you think that you know more than anybody else when you've just been in there for a year or 2 years or 3 years. And what happens is you will then be forced to reinvent the wheel rather than use the wheel.
Yep. Chris?
Mine was going to be aware of yourself. Just be a lot more aware of what you're doing throughout the day in all the aspects of your job. If you're getting sidetracked and distracted, be aware of it. Bring yourself back on track. If you're celebrating for too long or in the damps too long, be aware of it so you can bring yourself back. Just be more self-aware. I think also start keeping a journal to that awareness journal, writing it down and revisiting that in the morning so you can say, okay, yeah, I'm doing that a bit more. Or I'm seeing them doing it a bit less. It might help fix it.
For me, for those out there in real estate, when I started, I was told real estate is pretty simple. It's people and numbers. And you know what? At the end of the day, that's what it is. And that's the easy part, is the people and the numbers. The hard part I found was, for me, keeping check of my emotions and where I went when things went right and when things went wrong. And that's the hard part. We are dealing with people's biggest assets, and we don't take that lightly. And so, as I said earlier, if you've done the best you can with what you've got, you've done all you can. But if you knew at the end of the day when you go home and you put your head on that pillow and you think you could have done something better, well, you probably could have. So tomorrow you have an opportunity to improve. And that's all you can do.
And to sum it up, there were way more than 5. We could only get through 5. We could have probably had 25. But the things I will say to someone is, if you're thinking of a career in real estate, A, be careful of where you go to, because there are a lot of bad agents out there who will chew you up, suck you out, and kick you out the door. B, look at the culture and the integrity of the office that you're going to, because these days we all know when we run an interview, really we're getting interviewed. So, look at that. Don't go where is easier. It might be harder to get somewhere, but again, look at the reputation. In fact, do what we said. Go and talk to a couple of the sellers or clients. Ask the person you're interviewing with, have you got some staff that I could talk to? And C, remember that if you join the right team, you're never on your own. There's always someone out there, whether it's a leader, another person, someone in another office, another group, whatever it might be, there's always someone out there to help you. Like Thomas said, most of this is tried and tested. We don't need to learn to ride a horse all over again. There's a book out there of how to do it. Learn from someone else's mistakes and do it. So thanks for an invite today. Hopefully you'll have Cam back next week, and I won't be here. So enjoy, everyone. Thanks for coming along, and thanks for watching.
Well, thanks for having.
You'll probably be asked to come back, Stephen, because I won't be here next week.
Oh, okay.
I hope you enjoyed it, and you're gonna have to spend more on your wine because your wine was not that good. No.
Thanks, Cam Hoang.
Thanks very much, Steve. See ya. Bye.
Hey, guys.
Bye.